Good evening and welcome to Kini News. Malaysia broke a record yesterday and today that record got broken again. Unfortunately, it's because we have over 3,000 new COVID-19 cases reported today alone. This segment is brought to you by Blue Air.
Malaysia has breached the 3,000 mark by reporting 3,027 new COVID-19 cases over the past 24 hours. Johor reported more cases than the entire of the Klang Valley with 1,103. Selangor reported 706 new cases, followed by Sabah with 493 cases. According to the Health Minister, 8 new deaths were also recorded today. This comes after the Health Ministry sounded the ominous warning that the nation's healthcare system was reaching a breaking point, with quarantine centres overwhelmed, contact tracing breaking down, and a record number of patients in intensive care. The dire situation described by Health Director General Dr. Nur Hisham Abdullah yesterday was eerily similar to what happened in Sabah in October and November, when healthcare workers struggled with long shifts and many COVID-19 positive patients were told to stay at home unless they were critically ill. Sabah has suffered the brunt of COVID-19. As of yesterday, the state had reported the most COVID-19 cases in the country and accounted for 54% of Malaysia's COVID-19 related deaths. While Sabah has somewhat turned the tide before the 2020 year end by imposing economically crippling lockdown measures, raw case numbers in Peninsular Malaysia, especially in the Klang Valley, are on the rise.
Former Prime Minister Najib Abdul Razak is known for his social media antics, but one post may have landed him in some trouble with the court.
Former Prime Minister Najib Abdul Razak has been warned by the High Court to refrain from attacking prosecution witness and former Bank Negara Malaysia Governor Zeti Akhtar Aziz on social media. Judge Colin Lawrence Sequeira issued the warning during the former Premier's RM2.28 billion 1MDB corruption trial in Kuala Lumpur this morning. The warning followed submissions by Deputy Public Prosecutor Ahmad Akram Garib and Lead Defence Counsel Muhammad Shafi Abdullah earlier. On January 5th, the prosecution applied for the court to issue a warning to Najib over his Facebook post on 1MDB-linked allegations against Zeti. The complaint was over a December 29th post last year, which contained claims against Zeti and her family in relation to 1MDB funds. Following this, Zeti issued a media statement on December 31st, refuting the allegations. In a brief ruling, Sequeira said the previous statements made by Zeti did not justify the accused action to upload the post.
Lim Guan Eng's political rival Wee Ka Siong has been accused by the party of being weaponized by Perikatan Nasional.
DAP today accused the federal government of weaponizing Transport Minister Wee Ka Siong to victimize Penangites. DAP Secretary General Lim Guan Eng said this was with regard to the cancellation of 3 out of 4 major projects in Penang.
Keseluruhan 1.6 juta rakyat Pulau Pinang akan kerugian kerana kehilangan 4 projek ini yang telah diluluskan oleh Kerajaan Pakatan Harapan. Ini keempat-empat ini diluluskan oleh Kerajaan Pakatan Harapan, tetapi pun telah ditidakkan dan dirampas balik oleh Kerajaan Perikatan Nasional. Dan kami rasa ini adalah satu tindakan balas dendam politik oleh pihak kerajaan PN yang sengaja nak memangsakan rakyat kerana kerajaan negeri berlainan dalam aspek politik.
The cancelled projects are the RM800 million expansion of the Penang International Airport, the RM100 million Penang Hill Cable Car Expansion Project, the RM30 million to upgrade ferry services, and construction of the light rail system from Bayan Lepas to Komtar as part of the Penang Transport Master Plan.
Kalau anda semua perhatikan, daripada 4 projek ini, 3 ada berkaitan dengan Menteri Pengangkutan, iaitu tidak lain tidak bukan Wee Ka Siong. Dan nampaknya beliau menjadi senjata utama untuk memangsakan Pulau Pinang. Dan di sini kami harap bahawa rakyat boleh menyokong kempen ini kerana ini adalah penting bukan sahaja untuk mendapat balik infrastruktur, projek infrastruktur yang telah pun diluluskan, tapi untuk memastikan bahawa kerajaan PN tidak ambil tindakan lain atau mengambil langkah-langkah lain untuk membatalkan projek-projek lain lagi.
Lim urged Penangites to support DAP's signature campaign to reinstate the 4 projects, which were approved during Pakatan Harapan's 22-month rule. He said the campaign was a good way to raise awareness among Penangites about their rights over the cancelled projects. He added that the Finance Ministry, which he helmed in the Harapan administration, was also responsible for withdrawing funds for the projects.
There's some bad news from the registrar societies for both PUJong and Muda.
Applications to register Dr. Mahathir Mohamad's PUJong and Syed Saddiq's Muda as political parties have been rejected by the Registrar of Societies, ROS. The rejections were made yesterday. In an email cited by Malaysia Kini, the ROS did not state a reason why it rejected Muda's application. Meanwhile, the media was informed by PUJong's lawyer, Muar Nur Haidir Suhaimi, that the ROS also conveyed its rejection to the party via a letter emailed to it yesterday afternoon. As a result, PUJong today withdrew its legal action against the delay by the ROS in deciding on the party's registration status. Muar said this after attending in-chamber case management of the matter before Kuala Lumpur High Court Judge Mariana Yahya this morning. In a comment to Malaysia Kini, Muda co-founder Dr. Tanusha Francis Xavier said the ROS decision prejudiced its constitutional rights to association. Article 10(1)(c) stipulates that all citizens have the right to form associations. Tanusha added that Muda will be considering challenging the rejection in court. Muda is spearheaded by Muar MP Syed Saddiq Abdul Rahman, who was formerly Bersatu Youth Chief until he was booted out from the party. Muda aims to be a youth-centric, multiracial political platform. On December 10th, PUJong, led by former Prime Minister Dr. Mahathir Mohamad, filed a judicial review to compel the ROS to make a decision regarding the party's registration status. The review had sought a mandamus order to either approve or reject PUJong's application to formally register it as a political party under the Societies Act 1966. PUJong also sought a declaration from the court that the ROS and its Director General's failure to respond to any application or written communication is unreasonable and ill-intentioned to delay the registration.
Coming up next, utter chaos in the United States as outgoing President Trump summoned supporters to a wild protest. Welcome back. Hundreds of supporters of President Donald Trump stormed the US Capitol on Wednesday in a bid to overturn his election defeat.
Mayhem in the US Capitol on Wednesday as swarms of protesters supporting outgoing President Donald Trump stormed the building in an attempt to force Congress to undo Trump's election loss. Police drew guns and fired tear gas after pro-Trump protesters marched through the halls of Congress. House members were told by police to lie on the floor and grab gas masks under their seats. Police said a woman had died after being shot at the Capitol. The National Guard was also deployed to the scene. Some lawmakers live-tweeted the dramatic lockdown. One calling it surreal, another, Dan Kildee of Michigan, saying, quote, "This is not a protest, this is an attack on America." The chaotic scenes unfolded after Trump addressed thousands of protesters and repeated false claims that the election was stolen from him due to widespread fraud.
We will never give up. We will never concede. It doesn't happen. You don't concede when there's theft involved.
Trump also applied fresh pressure on Vice President Mike Pence, who had been presiding over the joint session of Congress and had to be escorted from the Senate, to unilaterally reject state electorate college votes.
And I hope Mike is going to do the right thing. I hope so. I hope so.
Trump later posted a video on Twitter in which he repeated his unsupported claim that the election was stolen from him, but called for peace and told his supporters to go home.
This was a fraudulent election, but we can't play into the hands of these people.
Outside the capital, members of militia groups and far-right groups, some in body armour, mingled with the crowds. President-elect Joe Biden said it was an unprecedented assault on U.S. democracy and called for the siege to end.
It's not protest, it's insurrection.
And the head of a business group that represents 14,000 companies, including ExxonMobil, Pfizer and Toyota, urged senior U.S. officials to consider invoking the 25th Amendment to remove Trump from office. Washington, D.C. Mayor Muriel Bowers ordered a citywide curfew that began at 6 p.m.
The European Union's medicines regulator has approved the use of Moderna's COVID-19 vaccine, marking the shot's second green light from the authorities following their approval in the United States.
The EU has approved Moderna's COVID-19 vaccine. Approval by the European Medicine Agency marks the second regulatory green light for the shot. It's already been given the go-ahead by US authorities. In clinical trials, the vaccine proved around 95% effective at preventing illness. It was not found to cause any serious safety issues. Experts say the US firm's product could be effective against the mutated variant of the virus found in the UK. Some officials in EU member states have criticized the EMA for being slow to grant approvals. Now the Moderna offering is the second vaccine it's okayed. Hundreds of thousands of Europeans have already received a rival inoculation produced by Pfizer and BioNTech. In the UK, regulators have also approved a version developed by AstraZeneca and the University of Oxford. On Wednesday, the Netherlands became one of the last places in the EU to start conducting vaccinations. Its first injection went to a 39-year-old care home nurse.
Garbage, as far as the eye can see, has spread over Serbia's Potpećko Lake.
Almost as far as the eye can see, trash spreads over Serbia's Potpećko Lake, lapping against the dam that crosses it. Built up over many years against a backdrop of rolling rural hills, the ocean of plastic now threatens to clog up the dam's hydroelectric plant, a local activist says, and Serbian authorities have ordered an immediate cleanup.
It has been like this for years. The local government is trying to deal with it, but it is all in vain when the root of the problem has not been solved. The time has come for this to be solved. It is time for this to stop. This is an ecological disaster, and it must not go on like this.
Serbia and other Balkan countries still recovering from the wars and economic turmoil of the 1990s have done little to tackle environmental issues, in part due to a shortage of funds. Those standards will have to rise should the region hope to realize ambitions of joining the European Union, requiring investments in the billions of euros in Serbia alone, authorities in Brussels and Belgrade estimate.
And that's all the time we have this evening. For more stories, go to KiniTV.com. Don't forget, we also post the latest headlines to our social media on YouTube, Facebook, Instagram and Twitter, so follow us there as well to get the latest news. Remember that if you're going out, please wear a mask, and if possible, just don't go out at all. It's a time to stay home. We can beat this together. I'm Daniel Anthony. Thank you for watching, and as always, stay safe, Malaysia.